Don't forget to turn around.
Are we on now?
We are.
Oh, we're on now.
Oh, shoot.
Look at.
We're back.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Wildflowers. I'm Judy.
I'm Carol,
I'm Peggy.
and we are here on December 3rd.
December 3rd.
Yeah,
What number episode is this?
Oh my goodness.
59?
I think,
58?
no, I think
You're
she
not
might.
prepared.
Listen,
I'm not prepared at all. I'm warning everybody.
59. I have so many possible topics. It's ridiculous.
Oh, but I want to hijack first because I
Go
just
for
have
it.
to tell you, you know how I don't get a lot of time to watch TV?
Yes.
And you're always telling me good things to watch. Well, I didn't listen to any of those recommendations. And I
never do either.
on this new show, which just is on Netflix, and I'm obsessed with it. Like normally I'll wake up to read or something. I woke up this morning to watch a couple
What is
more
this?
episodes. It's called The Diplomat. Have you seen that with Carrie
No.
Russell? Carrie Russell, remember
Oh,
Felicity?
yeah. I saw part of it.
What?
Eh.
It is so good.
Eh.
How did you just watch one episode?
No, I watched 2 or 3.
Really?
I was like,
I thought you would have loved it because to me it reminded like of a West Wingy kind of concept.
no, West Wing's good.
Oh well, I think you should watch it, Peggy. You be the type.
I didn't like West Wing that much. So.
Well, I didn't like West Wing, but this
Yeah.
one I like better than West Wing.
Yeah. West Wing,
Yeah.
I liked it in the beginning, and then it got to be a little bit too much.
All right, the two
I
of you
got
are
it.
not going to be talking about West Wing if you don't like
All
it.
right, no.
Okay, fine.
Just let
watched
me
it.
know. You have to watch it and be the tiebreaker, and let us know what you think. Watch an episode
Okay,
or two.
I'll try, maybe.
All right.
I've been watching The Rifleman lately because I can't handle anything else in my life. And I fell in love with Chuck Connor. So.
Well, if anybody knows, The Rifleman came out in, 1950 something?
Yeah, probably.
Well, yeah.
Well, maybe the 60s. I don't know. But it would be early 60s. No, I was a little girl when it came on. So, yeah, I was a little girl in the
Okay.
50s.
Well, we do have audience members. Have
Yes,
any
we
of them watched The Diplomat? No?
No.
All
no.
right.
No.
No.
Well, they
Do
will.
you guys like West Wing?
I've only seen an episode or two.
And that was probably enough,
I
right?
also
I'm gonna vomit. I've seen it 3 or 4 times the whole series, and I
Wow.
just get really just pulled into it. Anyway,
That's your
All right.
Columbo.
Anyway, that was my
that's my
topic.
Columbo.
Go ahead.
Oh, that's it. Okay. Well, there's so many different things. The New York Times had an article about the best selection of best fiction and nonfiction for the year,
Yeah.
and every title they picked, none of them I read.
I know,
Really?
me too.
Oh, I
I
didn't
was
see
looking
the
at
list.
it. So.
Can I see your
Yeah,
list?
the list. It's. I don't want to take up too much time because it's a really long. It's like 10 each for. But yeah, and I'm like, oh, and they were talking in the article. I don't know if you read the article or not, but about how it was such a challenge for them
Wow.
to pick these. You know,
Yeah.
it has to be difficult.
I only read a third of these.
No, did
No,
you
I'm
really?
joking.
Let me
No,
see.
I read none of them,
Because I know.
actually.
No.
And we read a
No.
We read a
We
lot.
read a lot of good and new stuff too. We pick out.
Well, I never read nonfiction anyway, so I know I didn't. Yeah.
But
No.
anyway, all right. So another topic. I don't know if you read that the Gilgo Beach wife of Rex Harriman. She's gonna get a chunk of change to be in a documentary.
Yeah, I know.
Oh,
I did.
didn't
I
hear
did
that.
hear about
She's
that.
gonna pay.
No, she's getting paid.
They offered her a documentary, and she's going to get a lot of money.
Oh.
And
So,
some
it
people
should be
are upset.
interesting.
Some people are upset with that. But I wonder what you two feel about
Who
that.
paid her?
Paramount, NBC,
Yeah.
Universal, NBC Universal.
I thought Paramount was affiliated with.
Oh, no, I'm sorry,
CBS.
Peacock. Peacock.
Oh, okay.
Peacock.
I knew it
Okay.
started with a P. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. You know what? I have a feeling that she was not totally ignorant to what was going on.
Really?
She lived in the same house with a serial killer. Give me a break.
I don't know.
I don't know.
A lot
And
of
maybe
the-
it's too soon, too.
And maybe it's in denial. You don't even want to think it.
Yeah.
A lot
I
of
forgot
this,
to
they
turn this
say the
on.
ones that he's accused of murdering now, because I think he's only been accused of 3 or 4.
Yeah. I think they just added a fourth
Added a
on.
4th. She was out of town when the
Yes,
murders
yeah.
happened,
Yeah.
which maybe that could be explainable.
Well, maybe she says, honey, if you're going to kill somebody this weekend, I'm going out of town.
Right.
I don't know. The whole thing seems... I think it's too soon. Like the victims' families, if they had any,
Yeah,
they
did.
just found out. I mean, they knew that they were
Right.
dead.
Then the other issue is she's now probably, I mean, if you look at the house, they don't seem like they
No.
were a family of means, and all of their equity
Yeah.
is tied up in a house that she can't sell because it's a
Right.
crime scene.
Yeah,
Right.
I
So
know.
if you are going to
Yeah.
live, she probably needs some money to live.
Yeah,
in that
I
way,
understand
too,
the financial
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
I can't even imagine
I
what
don't
it
know,
would
it
be like
doesn't-
when you know your spouse
Yeah.
did
It
that.
doesn't bother me.
Yeah,
that
I
much,
just was
yeah.
curious what you two felt because it didn't bother me that much
Yeah.
either. I thought, well, you lived it, you have a story to
Yeah.
share. What about our audience? Do you have a feeling on that?
She's dying of cancer.
Oh,
Oh,
she
is
has
she?
no insurance anymore
Oh.
because of him. So
That's a
Yeah.
fact I didn't know.
Yeah.
yes, so that money will come in
For her,
Yeah.
for her, because I think is her son a special needs kid or two something.
Oh, I know
so-
she has a daughter.
Yeah, she has
or
a daughter and a son.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and
Yeah.
he's I think
And it was a
sandwich
hoarder
short of
house too. I mean,
Yeah.
they saw the
Yeah,
property
kind of a thing.
and
That man messed over his
So-
own family along
Yeah.
with everybody else.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I hope that they're going to do it, and good for her. She's going to get the money that she needs. I hope that they do it respectfully
Right.
and with some
Yeah.
dignity. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
You know.
definitely. Well, I watched last night May December on Netflix.
Oh, is that about Laterno?
yeah,
Yeah, I didn't see that. I
Yeah,
had no
it
desire
was
to
a
see
quirky
that.
movie. It was interesting what they.
Who
it
was
was
the Laterno?
she's the teacher that had the affair with the sixth grader,
Oh.
and then ended up marrying him.
And they had kids together. She
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
pregnant with his
Yeah.
child, and then they went on to have
Yeah.
more children together. Yeah.
yeah. So and she died in
Weird.
2019.
I didn't know she died.
I didn't either. I,
Oh.
when I'm watching these things, I do these real little searches. But
Yeah.
now,
Okay.
do we do our words before we taste the wine, or do we taste the wine and then do our words?
I don't know.
You mean a word like
yeah.
a
Like
new
this?
word?
Give us a
No,
word.
usually we do this in the Banter.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Okay.
can't remember.
Okay,
It's been
so I
long.
have one. It's not a fantastic
Because
word.
we have a fan base that likes our words.
Yes,
Oh,
we do.
that's right. Well,
I
that
know.
fan base is my Spanish teacher,
Oh.
Alvaro.
Thank
you,
you.
Alvaro.
Yeah.
Muchas gracias.
Oh,
Muy bien, señora.
Well,
Très
anyway,
bien.
my word of the day
Yeah.
is toothsome.
Oh, I've heard that.
And yes,
Is that
and it isn't like a word that people have never heard of, but it just came up. It's TOOTHSOME, toothsome.
So is that teethy?
Yeah, but it doesn't mean teethy. It means pleasing to your taste.
Right, that's
Oh.
toothsome.
A toothsome meal.
That I didn't
So like
know.
a palatable, pleasing to your taste. And a sentence is, the aroma from the kitchen enticed them with the promise of a toothsome meal.
So the next time
So-
we're out to eat, we're going to say to the waiter, that was toothsome.
Or not toothsome.
Or not, no, wasn't.
Well,
You have a word?
Yeah.
No, but I was saying it's going to be my taste choice for the wine, and I hope it's toothsome to you
Ooh,
all.
I do too. I had a couple of words too.
Yeah, you did. I didn't bring a word today.
No, I
Sorry.
had, where did I put it? Oh, I'll do this one, Farrago. I saw that in the New York Times.
Farrago?
Farrago.
You have to spell it. Okay.
Farrago.
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 Far away ago.
No, it's a combined mixture. That's what it
Oh,
means.
okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, a confused mixture. A confused.
Confused
Yeah, I'm
mixture.
can't read.
Read a sentence.
Did I write a sentence with this
A
one?
confused mixture.
Maybe
No,
a
no, I
cooking
wrote-
term or...
No, it was. I think they were reviewing some kind of movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All
yeah.
right.
But
All
anyway,
right.
so.
Yeah.
All right, that's
Yeah,
good.
I have so many
Yeah.
different things, but there's too much to talk about.
Yes.
So, but and we have to taste wine.
Oh, yes. Okay, so it's my turn for the wine, and I think this will be toothsome for you. So I was out yesterday. My brother helped me pick it out. Actually, he
Hi,
picked it
brother.
out. My brother's in the audience.
Thank you for being in the audience.
Oh, sorry. I keep
he's
ripping on
very
you.
he's very quiet. This
And
brother.
as you can see, it's a red, but it's a mystery wine. Now, I think we've all had this brand of wine, but I don't know if we've had this type
This type of grape.
in the brand. So I know
Varietal.
varietal. Thank you. And so we
That
will
smells
see
Mhm.
what you think about it.
I like the smell.
I'd like to toast before.
Okay.
Oh yeah, you tell us what you smell. And then before we drink, we should toast to the expulsion of former Congressman Santos from the House of Representatives.
Do you know I
Finally.
live in that creep's
I do know
district?
you live in that
We're gonna vote
district.
against
Oh my
Yeah.
I would
goodness.
like you to run for his seat, Peggy.
Yeah, I should.
You really
All
should.
right, now should we taste?
Okay, yes, taste.
Oh, that
Well,
was,
are we gonna tell what we smell?
Oh, yes,
Oh,
go ahead,
okay.
and I'll tell you if you're right.
I always smell cherries in red wine, so I don't know whether it's just.
Yes, there's cherry here.
Okay.
well,
Yeah.
I am so
A little
congested,
bit of
I can't taste
spice.
anything.
Yes,
Yeah, spice. I get the spice.
yes. Actually, that's pretty much it.
Oh,
So it
oh.
says
I nailed it.
it has fruit aromas with jammy cherry flavors blended with spiced notes.
Okay.
Wow.
You got it right there.
Yeah, my nose is getting better.
You are.
And now I have to improve my palate.
Okay.
Okay, so you can taste it now.
Well,
Let's see what we
legs.
got.
Well,
It's got
we sent
legs.
to Santos and
And also to Andrew's trip to
Oh, yes,
the
oh,
Philippines.
Woohoo!
Oh, yes,
Merry
ma'am.
Bon
Christmas.
voyage.
We won't see you.
Yes, very
Okay.
good. Huh. How come I taste like pepper?
Yeah, it's
That could
Yeah,
be
that's the
spice.
spice. That's the spice.
I like pepper.
I do too. I like a peppery red
Me
wine.
too.
I can never count the first taste.
How soon did you open it?
We just opened it now. We
It's
didn't let
gotta
it go.
open
I
up.
know. We should.
We should have
we're
put
kinda
it in the
decanted.
decanter.
We're kind of ghetto.
Well, sometimes we're ghetto. It depends on how late one of us got here.
Yeah.
I don't think I was late.
No,
Was I?
no, I'm not
Okay.
saying that you were late,
I
but
told
sometimes
Lisa-
we're in a rush.
I told Lisa it started at 3.
Was I wrong?
Oh, no.
No,
'cause she
I
had
said
it-
3:30.
Okay, yeah.
I was the one that was off.
I like it.
I like it very much.
Yeah, I like this too.
I do. It's a very smooth finish.
Now let me figure the rest of the sentence. It was spice notes from our brandy barrels. It's one of these
Oh.
Oh, the barrel. That's
Yeah, not
right.
bourbon barrel,
bourbon
oak barrel,
barrels.
brandy
Oh,
barrel.
Yeah. This one is a
Brandy
brandy barrel.
barrel.
It's very smooth.
I like it
something
better.
extra.
What?
It's what?
I just said it gives it a little something extra. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Do you like it?
Yes.
Lisa likes it.
She, you know what she's thinking. You didn't.
I
pour
want
enough
more.
of my
I know.
list.
Hey.
All right, does anybody want to guess the varietal?
Oh boy, I don't know. It seems like it's got the body of a Cabernet
Yeah.
Sauvignon, but I know that it isn't from the hint that you gave us. So,
What hint did I give you?
I don't
well,
know.
you said that.
Oh, one that we haven't had before?
Yeah, the varietal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I mean, we've had the
Oh, the
varietal.
brand.
But
Oh,
we've had
okay.
the brand, but
Okay,
I don't
all right.
think
Is it a
had that.
Cabernet Franc?
it
You
was
know
a
what?
Cabernet Franc.
It's very purpley.
It
if
is.
you tilt your glass.
What'd you say?
Something noir.
Oh, actually, ding, ding, ding. It's
Yeah.
a Pinot Noir.
Oh my gosh,
Wow.
it tastes so full body for a
It does,
Pinot
yeah,
Noir.
it really
Okay, so would you like to see what it is?
I would.
It
Okay.
smells like
I-
a pinot, but doesn't taste as much like a pinot.
Oh, that's right. You guys knew what it was. That's right.
Oh, I dropped the paper.
That's
That's
okay.
okay. It is Cooper and Thief.
I've never had
Ooh.
Cooper
Oh, I
and Thief,
thought you
and I
would've.
love that bottle.
Isn't it? It's like
I
shirt
wanna
and
take a
stout.
picture.
Yeah, it looks like a liquor bottle, like
Does
a
it?
gin
Yeah.
bottle. Or,
Yes.
Wait, let me. Yeah.
Well, you can't see. You have to turn the label
Yeah,
towards
turn-
the
Oh,
camera,
I don't
Carol.
want you to see the price. Okay, because I want you to guess the price.
Carol. I'm
Oh, me?
I
Judy.
said turn the label towards Carol.
Oh, I thought you said Carol. You gotta turn the.
Oh,
label.
you cut off her head.
You don't have to
we
cut
don't
my head.
need have her head
But
in
it looks
She doesn't
funny.
like my head.
Peggy. Okay.
Now, how much would we pay for this bottle of wine? Now,
You
don't
know
say
what?
it because
I
we
would go like $27.99 for this
know.
wine.
Okay. And what about you?
This is a very nice wine.
Isn't it
I
delicious?
really like it.
I like it better than I did the other barrel wine. I don't like the bourbon barrel.
You don't like the bird. Okay, but
Not
how
at
much?
all.
How much would you pay for this?
This one brandy? Depends on my mood. I would pay.
Or would you expect to pay for this?
Okay. 26.
$27.99.
Ta-da!
Now I paid a little more. At the store, it was $29.99
Yeah.
that I went.
Is
So I
it
paid-
you're the store you
No,
go
we were out. I was at near my parents' house yesterday, so we went to the liquor store by my parents in Copeg. So that's where we got it. What's it called? Do you remember? Is it Snug Harbor?
I don't remember.
I don't remember. But anyway, they gave us free liquor when we walked in. Very nice.
Oh,
Andrew took it.
to? Oh, like a tasting?
Yeah, but not of this one.
Kind of is like skipping.
But I like this. I've had their Cabernet. Hello.
I'm sorry.
I've had their Cabernet before, and I like them.
I'm writing down
I'll
the
just
name
tell
of
the
it because
camera.
I like
I've had
it.
their Cabernet before, and I like
And how
it.
was the Cabernet? Now, is the Cabernet more full-bodied than this? Because this is pretty
Yeah,
full-bodied,
what
I
I-
think, for a Pinot
From what
Noir.
I remember,
Yeah.
it was a very full, because that's what I like. I like a
Yeah,
very
me
full body.
too.
So if I remembered the brand,
Yeah.
it must have been a more full body
Wow.
one too. So I'm happy with this one.
Yeah, me too.
I
Very
feel like
good.
it's mellowing out right now a little bit. Like, you know, it's kind of.
Yeah, because she blew it and she didn't decant it, right,
it's great.
Andrew? Well, I would give this 5 wildflowers for real.
Wow.
Yeah, I
very
like
nice.
it.
Yeah.
I would give it 4.5.
I'm going with the 5. I think
Yeah.
it's excellent. I love it.
Good
We've had a good
choice.
pick.
Mhm. Carol,
Yay!
you don't
Finally,
want to
we
toast
broke,
good choice?
we broke the streak.
yeah.
Good choice.
Good
Yes.
choice. Good choice. Oh yeah, no.
Thank you,
wait,
Andrew,
We've
for
had
helping.
some bad
But,
choices.
yeah,
Yes, it
we're-
was definitely
we're still
Andrew. who
traumatized.
picked
How
it.
many wildflowers would you guys give?
Oh, I'm agreeing with you and Judy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Andrew?
I don't. What's the conversion of wallflowers to Andy flowers? 'Cause I'm
It's about the same.
Yeah.
5 is the best,
5 is the
and
best,
1
one
is the worst.
gonna go 4.75.
Oh,
Okay, a little better than Carol.
I
Good.
think we're
Very
good.
good.
I have one more word and it will work
Oh,
with this.
tell us.
I forget. It's called
Oh, somebody came in.
Yeah.
soi-disant. Soi-disant.
Oh, okay. That was the word of the day the other
Yes,
day.
it was. But this was actually in a book that I'm reading.
Oh.
And I saw that it was also the word of the day. Do you remember what the
It's as always or
close? Sherlock, no.
soi-disant.
I was thinking more like frivolous.
Soi-disant.
Make sure, Sherlock.
It's like
It's French.
so called.
So cool. That's
So-called.
right. The
They're so-
soi-disant
It's
model.
used to say,
Oh, okay.
yes, it's used to say that someone claims to be a particular thing, especially when you do not accept that person's claim. And this is the sentence. In other words, I was a so-called sommelier when I tasted the Long Island wine that Peggy introduced.
Yes.
And so that was, I
Yeah.
had to use that word.
Yeah.
Well
So
done,
you
well
were a soi-disant.
Yes, was these on.
Soi-disant.
But yeah, so
Yeah,
that-
I actually, that was one of the words I almost picked, and I said it's too French. I'm
No.
going to pick, because finagle has been in there too, and I love the word finagle
Yes,
anyway, like
that one.
finagling your way into things. But,
yeah, but I was remembering I had to do that, so. But that's
Very
good.
good, good.
Very, very good.
Good
So-
wine.
so
It-
what book are we talking
I
about?
think you need a top up before we go on.
I
to the book.
do. Do you guys need some?
I think
Top
I'll bring it over. I'll bring it over.
I'll walk over.
he'll be on camera. Then we
Oh,
have
yeah.
to pay
I'll
him.
hand it to you.
Then we'll have to pay
Just
him
come
something.
around this way. Come on this side. You should have bought 2 bottles of this,
I
Judy.
should pay.
Lisa, you want some?
No, I'm good right now.
You sure?
$29.99 is about my limit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I'm gonna check Total Wine and see. It'll probably be like 22 in Total Wine.
Well, that's a big difference.
Yeah, Total Wine's they're dollars
Okay.
different.
I always mean to call them and have them deliver. I should look into
But
that.
Judy likes
Yeah.
her place that she
Yeah.
goes
I do,
to,
because I
too.
like to
You
see
know what
lids.
it is? Because I don't have a good liquor store in my neighborhood, and
okay.
you know, like they have some wines, they don't have a big variety, and they're not like that friendly. Or and one of them, like he doesn't really even know a lot about wine. I said,
Yeah.
So-
that's- no, you need
you
something.
know, even though I don't go into Total Wine store where they know
They
everything
know.
about
Yeah,
wine,
Yeah.
and but I could read about it on their website, and they have all the reviews on it, and they describe it, and they star it.
Yeah. That's
So.
pretty cool. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, okay, it's my turn for the book,
All right.
and I'm going to share a book that a lot of people, I'm sure, that are watching, all our hundreds of people,
Yeah.
have read.
Tens of tens.
Tens of tens, yeah. The Handmaid.
Oh, I read that.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yes, The Handmaid.
I read it twice.
Oh.
And the reason I picked this is because I refuse to watch the series.
Oh, you gotta
And-
watch the
No,
You
series.
really do.
I know, it's too upsetting.
Did you guys watch the series?
Lisa and
Andrew's watched it.
I watched 3
Lisa
episodes
and
and I
I-
couldn't
Amy and I watch
couldn't
it.
bring myself to watch it.
Yeah.
Stick with it because
Yeah,
it's
Well, we know what's going to happen. We know it's like I don't understand why the two of you say that to me, because I know how.
I know that you know what's going to happen,
I-
but the way they reveal it
Well,
and
yeah.
the
I have to be in a
characters.
better headspace for that.
Yeah,
But you know,
exactly.
what I think is better that you know what's going to happen is know some of the playbooks is how they're getting out of this or
Mhm.
trying to fight it,
Yep.
because I don't know. You got Mike Johnson here,
Okay.
who I think is reading
All right.
this book and
Well,
trying to figure out how to
that's-
get
Yeah, and
that
how to
there.
make it happen.
That's a good
Yeah.
point. Well, what I'm
And that's
going
why I don't want to watch it.
Well,
yeah. Well, my
Well,
review is a
You
little
have to be
different.
armed with the information, Lisa.
My approach to this, because I knew that you both had read it, and so I looked up, because the book came out in 1986. So I read some of the early reviews, and I wanted to read briefly an interview that Margaret Atwood did, and she explains how she came to write it. So
Okay.
instead of me saying how I felt about it, because
Right.
I found it very interesting, and it was very upsetting, but yeah. All right, so. Which is often labeled speculative fiction because it appears to predict or warn of a triumph of totalitarianism, or what one reviewer calls a Western Hemisphere Iran. Having absorbed the New England Puritan tradition during her studies at Harvard, this is the author, she observed the rise of the U.S. political right in the 1980s and compared the moral majority. I don't know if you remember the moral
I
majority?
remember, yep.
Moral, yep, okay. And with Jerry Falwell. Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yes. Okay.
The moral majority's grassroots menace to the phenomenon of Hitler. According to Atwood, the Nazi leader told the world what he intended to do.
Yeah.
We're being told that now. Then he set about accomplishing his heinous aims. The ranting diatribes of the late 20th century American right-wingers, who steadfastly pushed women back into the traditional roles common in the 1950s, delight in the AIDS epidemic among homosexuals, and to have acted and threatened death to members of the gay culture, parallel Hitler's fastest candor. Atwood claims to have acted on a what-if scenario. Suppose ultra-conservatives did achieve a coup d'etat and turned rhetoric into a stringent authoritarianism, replete with suspension of constitutional rights, racial cleansing, torture, perpetual sectarian wars, public execution of homosexuals and dissidents, a repressive police and spy operation, and assignment of roles to women based on their childbearing capabilities. If anyone out there heard this and you still plan on voting for Trump, shame on
Because
you.
he's talking
He's
about his
telling
agenda
you.
already. He's
Shame
pretty much
on
telling us
you.
what he's going to do.
And
Absolutely.
so is the leader of the House of Representatives,
Mike Johnson.
Mike Johnson. He's also he's endorsed these
Yep.
very far right views
Yep.
on books. That's come out how and he's given interviews
On the
back
control
at the
of
time.
a woman's
Absolutely.
body.
Yep.
He's
Abortions, as we know, which is the same thing.
homosexuality.
And being on contraceptives. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just insanity.
If you
It is insanity.
and we're a room full of women, one man, but he has daughters as well. And so if you even have daughters, you should be paying attention to what is being spoken about when it comes to women's rights. And that's actually something I want to talk about on the next one as well.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
that's cool. Well, here's real quick because I don't want to take up too much time because we have a topic too. But
My topic's it's not gonna take that long because
okay,
I
all
was
right.
very bad this week.
That was very bad. Okay, so Barbara Holiday for the Detroit Free Press granted that the novel The Adulation Due a brilliant and Machiavellian thriller, but noted plot shortcuts, particularly in the President's Day massacre of the U.S. President and the Congress, who are machine-gunned in one neat guerrilla attack. Holiday labels this unlikely scenario a coup in a banana republic.
Like
Yeah,
January 6th.
exactly, like January 6th.
Right, exactly. Let's see, who said this now? From a strictly literary perspective, John S. Nelson, writing for the Wichita, Kansas Eagle Beacon, pegs The Handmaid's Tale as a cross between 1984 and The Scarlet Letter, which I found that's pretty interesting on target, and an oft-repeated duo of comparatives that draw on themes of religious authoritarianism, repression, indoctrination, treachery, and victimization of women. I mean, there's so many different reviews, and I don't want to take up a whole lot of time, but
So many parallels to what's going on today in our government.
absolutely
With the Republican Party, I should say.
Absolutely. And
We gotta stop calling it that. It's not the Republican
No,
Party
it's
anymore.
not.
It
'Cause
really
I
isn't.
voted
The
for
current
I voted-
Republican Party.
I voted for Republicans in the past.
I used to.
I have
used to be a
locally.
registered
I
Republican.
never did for
I
a
used to be
presidential
registered
one.
Republican.
Oh, okay.
Really?
All right.
Yeah, I
I
was.
think I was too.
Wow.
Actually, now that I
Yeah.
think back to it.
They
But-
lost me a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My parents were registered Republicans.
So is my dad, but my
but,
dad.
but my
voted-
dad would have hated Donald Trump.
My dad was a Republican all his life, but when it came, then the water's running through the
I know, I
pipes.
hear it.
He voted for Obama, and I was
Yeah.
so proud of him for doing that. He said it was about time. That's all. It's about time. I was so proud of my dad when he said that. But The Handmaid's Tale, I really, you hate saying you enjoyed it, you know, but it was so well done. Margaret
was.
Atwood. I
The
had an
suspension
issue
of
with
rights.
I had an issue with the ending. I think I've talked to you about that. So I don't know. I know that the series isn't done yet, but
No, it isn't.
And she has a
but
sequel
each
to this.
season,
right, the sequel. Yeah.
I've read the sequel.
I
as
did
well.
too. It was
Yeah.
very good. Well, the sequel is really not a sequel;
It's
it's,
a
a prequel.
It's yeah, you're right. Actually,
It's about Aunt Lydia,
Is it right? Exactly.
and it was
So
that was
yeah,
also
absolutely
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just felt like she kind of felt a need to share 100 years later, what going back and looking at it, and I don't know, it was a little, but I love Margaret Atwood. I love her writing. I read The Blind Assassin. I enjoyed that very much, and
She's a good writer.
she's
Yeah.
an amazing writer. She
Smart
doesn't.
lady for
she's a very
figuring out where the problem we're headed to.
You're not kidding.
Here
In
we
the
are
80s,
from the
yeah.
80s.
I know.
yeah. So I give it 5 Wildflowers.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I believe
definitely.
that. Yeah.
I
And we've
love
all read
the
the
book,
book, so
uh-huh.
I
and
agree.
I had wanted this past week or two to
read-
go
yes,
through.
you
I
told
said
me
I'm
that.
gonna pick. I actually took the book out of my bookcase and left it, and I don't know.
Wait,
The
I
days
have a
got away
question.
from me.
So you don't have a lot of books in your bookcase, but there's some that you keep. Now, this was one
Yeah.
that you
Yes, yes.
specifically kept.
Yes,
And
yeah.
you just felt like it was that.
Yes, because I know this is a book I'll read again and again.
Right.
Jane Eyre is one, Frankenstein, Dracula, the Lord of the Rings trilogy, The Hobbit. I do have a lot of books. I have I have to weed through them because I live in a studio apartment and I don't
But
have a lot
I
of
think
room.
that's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
do you repeat reading books?
I read a couple of I'll pick up Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen.
I bought
Okay.
that and
A
I
few
still
times.
haven't read it. I've never
No,
read it.
I do enjoy that book. That was,
Yeah.
I think, one of the books that got me in love with reading. Was
Yeah.
reading her,
Yeah.
her book.
See, I was
Yeah.
more a Jane Eyre girl.
I read
Then
the
I
Sunflower.
tried.
Jane
Yeah.
I love Jane Austen, but
Yeah.
Sunflower, which I've been, I've read
Yes,
the
oh,
Sunflower
that's
a bunch
true.
of times by
That's-
Yeah,
Simon Beasley.
yeah. I kept that one.
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah, I have not. There's one that I do want to read again. It's called Possession by A.S.
Oh yes, you
Uh-huh.
mentioned she just
Yeah.
passed.
She
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
and I was like, because that's one of my top favorite books. And I was like, I wonder if it still would be the same way. Otherwise, though, I feel like I can't reread a book because there's so
There's
many
so much
books
out
to
there.
read.
You know what?
yeah,
You know what I do
Yeah.
sometimes? I don't read the whole book. Sometimes I'll just pick it up and I open it
Oh, I like
and
that.
read pieces of it to
Oh, I
refresh
like
my
that.
memory. And
I've done that. That's
Yeah.
why I write in my books. Like for the books
Yeah.
I know I'm going to keep, I'll
Yeah.
write in them. Like the one I'll speak about next time. I've written
Yeah.
all over this book
Oh,
because
really?
I can go back and just get to the points that I
Right.
need to.
right, yeah.
that
Well,
really
that's
stuck
why a lot
me.
of people say they like the Kindle because they can.
No.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't.
Yeah.
Sorry,
They
Linda.
can't.
No,
Yeah.
I know that.
I know. But anyway, so yes, The Handmaid's Tale. Strongly encourage you to
Yes,
read it.
read it.
Yes.
And
It's very
series.
disturbing, but worth it.
And also read. You gotta go back to the TV. We'll come over. We'll do a sleepover and we'll watch it. If you're that
We'll
scared.
make her watch
Yeah.
it.
Only if we can have wine.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
just saying.
yeah, we-
Oh, come on. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, Lisa?
More? Would you like more?
Yeah, Lisa needs some wine.
Oh, okay. She'll bring it over. And then we'll move on to the topic that
Yes.
Peggy said she didn't have time
No,
to do.
I started out gung ho.
Ooh.
Oh, sorry.
It's a little bottle. It's like short and stout.
Oh wait, and Judy's all
No,
It's
it's
a
okay.
little
I
teapot.
don't need any. I'll have some later.
Okay. There's no more
Oh,
to
well.
have.
Well, the next time you buy a good one, buy 2 bottles. Yeah, yes.
That's the rule.
You won't know it till you open it.
Thank you, Lisa.
Okay, I will do my best with my topic because I wasn't very good at following up. I started out, I get a newsletter from history.com once a week,
Okay.
and this one happened to be why were Vietnam War vets treated poorly when they returned. And I said they really were. Everybody
were.
was so anti-Vietnam that we didn't have any respect for those guys who were over there
Right.
in horrible conditions, forced to do really horrendous things.
And that was your key word is forced.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they were all drafted.
Yeah.
I mean, there were some volunteers, but most of them were drafted. So one thing that I didn't really remember, or maybe I never knew, was that they only did 1 year in Vietnam.
Oh, I don't know if I
Yeah,
knew that.
that's what they served
See,
1
I
year
didn't
in
know
Vietnam,
that.
and then they came home.
Okay.
Oh,
So,
okay.
which I found interesting. I guess they
I did
figured
not
it
know
was
that. Yeah.
it was pretty horrible. So let's see. The war itself lasted for 20 years,
Yeah.
but we weren't involved in it for 20 years.
Right.
The only war that lasted longer was the war in Afghanistan. It was, the Vietnam War was like 19 and a half or something. Afghanistan was a little over 20. So, but we were only involved in it militarily. I mean, from the beginning we were involved by, supplies, money, and military advisors,
Okay.
consultants. But I was shocked to read this number. The Vietnam War, while we were involved, claimed 58,220 American military service members died.
Wow.
58,000 people.
From the States.
Just
The
just
military
ours,
Just
our
ours.
exactly. And you can compare that with, and I wish I would have written it down because this is one of the things I started doing, but it's if you compare it with the Afghanistan war lasted 20 years, U.S. military deaths were 2,402.
Oh, wow.
Uh-huh. And that was from October of 2001 to August of 2021.
Now these are just deaths. These aren't talking about injuries.
No, the
or-
injuries,
yeah.
the wounded in Vietnam were more than 150,000.
Yes, okay.
Now, does that include the young men that came back?
With PTSD.
Yeah, PTSD.
I don't know if they
not.
probably not
Sometimes
because
that
at
comes
first
afterwards.
and
I
that
say
was
men,
all
but-
ignored anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
These guys
Yeah.
came back and they didn't get the help
They
that
don't
guys
get
get
it,
to,
yeah.
which even now
Which they
is
hope
not
you
enough.
Get, but it's
No,
not.
no.
Exactly.
I
So
had 2 cousins that came back that you didn't
Yeah.
realize, you just didn't realize why they were the way they
Yeah.
were, They're both passed now.
yeah, so. But anyway, for the men who served in Vietnam and survived unspeakable horrors, coming home offered its own kinds of trauma.
Now, when you say men, were there any women too?
You know what? They don't mention it
That's-
in
yeah.
any of the articles. Maybe
Yeah.
back then they weren't drafting women.
No, I don't
Because
think
most
they
of the
were, right?
people, because that was in, it started, our involvement, it started in,
68?
it ended in 73 and it was 8 years, so it was
Okay.
like 65,
Oh, okay.
1965. So I don't think that women were being drafted
Right.
at that time. And let me see, where was I up to? Sorry. All right. Some, like this one particular person, Woke, say they had invectives hurled their way. Others, like Naval Officer Ford Cole, remembers being spit on when he came back, when people
There's
found
a
out.
lot of that.
Yeah. As a cohort, Vietnam veterans were met with none of the fanfare and received none of the benefits bestowed upon World War II's greatest generation. It was such an unpopular war. There were so many protests, and they reinstated the draft for it. And nobody thought that we should have been there in the first place.
Well, no, you can't say nobody.
Well, the government thought that we should have been there because, well, the reason why we got into it was because we were afraid, because China in 1949, China went communist.
Right.
And like we had this fear that now it was going to infect the rest of Asia.
Right.
So that's how the United States initially got involved in Vietnam, because there was the Indochina Wars. I'm not very well versed on this. I'm no historian and I have a bad memory. But Vietnam rebelled against France because France, Vietnam was their territory and they didn't want them anymore. So you know the name Ho Chi Minh?
Yeah.
That name? He was part of that, and they kind of won their independence from France. Mm-hmm. There was some kind of deal that he tried to make with the United States, but it was ignored. And I wish I could remember the whole thing about it.
He approached Woodrow Wilson back when Woodrow Wilson was president, and Woodrow Wilson.
Yes, and thank you. But even later than that, he, it would have been a deal that war never would have happened. So Vietnam was kind of split. South Vietnam was more democratic, and then North Vietnam was communist. But that war it just seemed like it never should have happened. Mm. That it could have been avoided. Mm. And the atrocities that these guys had to commit over there too.
Oh.
Well,
I don't know if you remember the photograph, but of the little kid running down.
I know. I knew it's an iconic photograph. That's the second time I thought about this today, and I forgot we were talking about Vietnam.
Yeah. See that?
Well, when I went to see The Deer Hunter, it was about Vietnam War. That scene that came up where they had to shoot children, I was just a blubbering mess. I got up and ran out, and I was married at the time, and Rob was like, "You're gonna come back in?" I went, "No, I'm absolutely not going back in." And then this was when we were upstate for whatever in Lake Placid. We went to the movies. We came back down. Friends wanted to go see it. I said, "Okay, I think I can handle it now."
Gosh!
So I agreed because they all wanted to see it. It's a very well done movie. Same, that scene comes up. Nope, just had to get out. I just couldn't handle it. I just could not handle it.
Yeah.
It's just.
I never saw the whole thing. I think I watched part of it, and I said, I can't watch this. So.
But it was very real. Very real. For what you're saying, it's just,
I know. So anyway, this headline here says, "No welcome home parades for Vietnam vets."
That's true.
Mm-hmm. First of all, they came back individually.
Right.
Because
it wasn't declared, the war, it wasn't declared.
Well, not only that, they didn't send back whole units at a time. Mm-hmm. Okay, you guys served your term and now you're going to go back. And, there's some kind of hoopla about it. Hey, welcome back home. They were sent back individually. Like one guy, he served his 1 year. You come back home. You're not with your unit. Because maybe your unit, everybody's coming back at separate times. Mm-hmm. So it was... That really changes the whole dynamic of that too. So they came home to their family, to a country that didn't even want to be involved in that war in the first place.
Who had no idea what they saw, had no idea what they went through, right? I mean... Yeah,
no. And you know what? I have a bunch of letters. I used to write to a friend of mine who served in Vietnam. And he always wrote back. He was very happy. I used to send him packages and stuff. Yeah. And he, only in 2 of the letters, and I have a stack of them, only in 2 of the letters did he mention anything about it, and they were each one sentence. Mm-hmm. And in one of them he said, "It's pretty quiet here. We're just going through the rice paddies in the mountains, but you never know what's next." He's,
Right.
And another time he mentioned something else. Oh, he was writing me a letter. He said, "Oops, I'll be back in a little while. My captain just called us into the jungle." And that's another thing, that battlefields where they were fighting, it was so unfamiliar.
Yeah.
And the Viet Cong, that's where they lived, they had the advantage.
Right.
So the welcome home part, they said there was no welcome home. This was partly due to the logistics of the never-ending conflict. The Vietnam War lasted from 1964 to 1973. That was just our part of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
the longest war in American history until it was overtaken by the one in Afghanistan. And servicemen typically did 1-year tours of duty. Unlike conflicts with massive demobilizations, men came back from Vietnam by themselves rather than with their units or companies. For a decade, as one person was shipped off to fight, another was returning. And the collective emotion of the country was divided. This is from a book that a Vietnam veteran wrote. And that's another point, that when I was working at Theodore's bookshop, somebody came in, this man, looking for books about the Vietnamese War. And like he was talking to me, and he said there's just not a lot of them. People didn't even write about that war until many, many years afterwards. And because you go into like Theodore's, he has a whole wall of books of World War II, and some of World War I, and
I don't know if we're going to talk about why we got out when we did.
We got out when we did.
I know
all right,
that.
well, you can answer that question. Let me finish this thought. The collective emotion of the country was divided. For the family whose son is just coming back, you aren't going to have a public welcoming home ceremony when the kid down the block had just gone.
Oh.
And I remember that very well.
Yeah.
Because I was a teenager during
That's a
this,
good
and I
point,
remember,
yeah.
so-and-so is in
That's a
Vietnam
good
now,
point.
and,
Yeah.
But someone else
Yeah,
was going,
uh-huh.
so yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Or someone
And the
just.
fact that they were all children.
yeah,
Yeah.
In my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What was the draft age? 18, 17,
Yeah.
18?
They don't, they,
You know,
they're
they were
away from
babies.
home, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy I was writing to, let's see, that was in like 1968. It's
He
1969.
was a kid, I'm sure.
Yeah, I was 17, he was 19 years old. He was over there.
You know?
And each letter, he was counting down. He's put short at the bottom. Short, 88 more days to go, or 8 months to go.
Did you
or,
see him when he got back?
You know what? I couldn't remember if I did, but in every letter he said that he wanted to come and see me when he got back. And I think maybe I did,
Right. It just.
but
Yeah.
it was a long time ago, and I
Right.
don't remember that well. So,
Wow.
but anyway, and then it says the GI benefits were lacking. Okay, celebrations aside, the government also failed to make good on its promises to those who served.
Yep.
Veterans returning from Vietnam were met with an institutional response marked by indifference. This guy here was a commander. This was from a commander of the 3rd Battalion Infantry. He led his men on operations that lasted 30 days or more in some of Vietnam's most inhospitable conditions, without shaving, bathing, or changing clothes. None of that, he said, prepared me for the reception at home upon our return. And there were people who said that he was, back in the States, he discovered that GI benefits available for Vietnam veterans were almost non-existent. While living in New York, he developed symptoms of malaria, and the VA didn't cover it, even though
It's shame
he
on
got
us.
it in Vietnam.
Shame on
It's
us.
a tropical disease, fairly uncommon,
Right.
in the concrete jungle, yet he was denied VA health care because he didn't display those symptoms in Vietnam.
Yeah.
It's horrible. He graduated from Notre Dame prior to being commissioned, and after his service returned to law school to cash in his educational benefits. At a time when I was paying $300 a credit, my entire educational benefit was $126.
Wow. Wow.
I know. And when it came to finding a job, he was met with thinly veiled disgust and discrimination from law firms upon learning he was a Vietnam infantry veteran. So they were,
They were being punished for something.
they
that
were, for something that they didn't even want to do
Right,
either.
right.
Okay. So anyway, they said that the Gulf War shifted all those attitudes, because that's when everybody started,
Patriotic.
like thank you for your service. It was because
Well,
of
is that
9/11.
because? Yeah, I was just gonna say because.
It was because of
9/11.
9/11.
Yeah.
And some of these Vietnam veterans, when that started happening, one of the guys said, we couldn't believe it. We could not understand getting letters from school kids. You couldn't believe that people were cheering you because they never had that before.
Was it the Gulf War before 9/11?
Yes.
I think so, but that's when they started appreciating these guys. So,
Yes.
so,
Oh, that's true. Good point.
Yeah.
Thank you, audience members.
so anyway, I'll just leave it at that. It's
Well, the reason
pretty
we got out,
despicable.
Johnson got us out, is because Walter Cronkite went to Vietnam, and he had talked about it on the news channel on his show, and he talked about how we're not ever getting out of there.
No.
We're just not. It's just I can't word what he said, but Johnson and then
Yeah.
Johnson said, well, if Walter Cronkite said that, he goes, we've lost.
That's what it said.
Yeah, well, that's why they didn't get the welcome home parades either, because you don't have a celebration for a losing war, and that's what it
Yes.
was.
Yeah.
You know, it
Yeah.
was just terrible what these guys had to endure, and
And there
Yeah.
was the Tet Offensive, and the children that were, and in my forthcoming book that I'm writing about, a child from Vietnam was being adopted, and then he discovers an article about how he probably shouldn't have been given up
Yeah.
because the parents went back to the
that's
orphanage
right. Yeah,
to
to
get,
get their kid. Yeah,
and they were shipped to other countries to be adopted.
I know.
So I'm addressing that in my
Yeah.
Yeah, we committed genocides over there too, like in
It's-
Laos and in the Philippines. Actually, we did Timor. It was an island in the Philippines. It was a Portuguese island, and we did a genocide there too.
It's
We did a lot of horrible
any
things.
comments, any? No.
No.
I could have a lot to say, but
Yeah.
you're going to run out of tea.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll say a few brief things. You know,
Okay.
So
Andrew is a veteran, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
it's still active duty, so I gotta be
Okay.
careful what I say.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
You know, so when it comes to Vietnam, so I'll steal something from a gentleman who's an author and a leadership speaker, a guy named Simon Sinek, if you ever heard of him before. So he talks about this thing called the golden circle, right? It's as simple as why, how, what, right? I'll give you this. Most people can kind of tell you what they do, right? Like if I ask what you did, you can tell me what you do, like for a
Right.
living or whatever. Most people couldn't even tell you. Some people can even tell you how they do it. But if you ask them why they do it, not a lot of people might struggle with that. So when it came to Vietnam, most people struggled to tell you why we're there. They can tell you what they're doing. They can tell you how they even do it to some extent, but they don't. A lot of people struggle with the why. And I think in the beginning of the Vietnam War, when it came to when the French, they were clearly like, this problem is unsustainable for us. We're out of here.
Yeah.
The Americans saw what happened in Korea. You want to step back even further?
Exactly. Yep.
So now you're seeing that whole Dominic effect theory, right? So now they're seeing this strategic global chess game happening, and it's like, well, in their minds, that's the best thing they could do. And believe it or not, there was a lot of support for them in the beginning, 64, 65, even maybe into 66. When things started going bad, and they started realizing this is a problem that was not working for them, most people didn't understand why we were there. And the messaging wasn't clear, and then obviously there was a lot of deception. And the next part of this is this story about values, right? It's a topic of values. So when you start making, we pride ourselves as a country of having a certain set of values, right? We believe in certain things, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness,
Right. It's our democratic
democracy,
values.
etc. But when you start making decisions that aren't based on your values, you make them based on your interests, which is what was occurring in Vietnam. People start noting, you may not be able to articulate that, but you feel that, and I think the public is feeling that we are just not living our values. We're making decisions based on our interests. Then you start losing the faith in the people, and especially when you're lying to them about, the winnability, if you will. That's not really a word there, but going back to your Walter Cronkite story, what was revealed, it was the Washington Post story that was revealed, classified documents were spilled and all that, and they showed that the study showed that this war is unwinnable. People started realizing we're being lied to, right? So now we know we're not living our values.
Right.
Fast forward to Desert Storm, as you put out, we kind of knew our purpose there right from the start, right? We understood that this was this is exactly what we believe. We believe the nation of Kuwait, who was an ally, was being suppressed by Iraq at that point. So we felt we were doing the right things to save them, and we pushed them all the way back. And we felt like we did the right thing there. So the country was behind us. The U.S. was behind us. Kuwait was behind us. The nation was behind us. Same thing with 9/11. It was that unifying moment. But then somewhere along the line, we kind of went back and we started losing why we were out there and what we were supposed to be doing. We started splitting our time from Afghanistan, Iraq, etc. And I'm not going to get too deep into that because that's pretty much where I spent the majority of my career. But
we'll have to have you on the next time you're back in the States. We'll have to have you on, and you could give us a thorough history lesson.
Oh,
I mean, like I said, I can go on for days, but I'll just kind of end it there. But that's my 2 cents of
well, we'll give you an hour, Andrew.
No, we appreciate it. Well, that, once again.
I wish I would have known that. He was so well versed, I would have just let him do the topic.
Well, that was very interesting, and I like the fact that we acknowledge that the veterans that came back from Vietnam, and so many of them have already passed, and it's so tragic. But thank you.
Yes, thank you. And also, I noticed that not only like this, my friend Tommy that I used to write to, like he didn't talk about it, but most of them, when they came back, the veterans, they did not talk about their experiences in Vietnam. Like Donna's husband, Paul, was a Vietnam vet. I only knew it because she told me.
It was the same from World War II, though. My uncles came back from World War II, and my mother said they would not talk about it either.
It's something you want to forget. It's something you want to. You go through trauma. Do you want to talk about that?
And you see horrible things. But
well,
anyway.
thank you for watching, and
thank you, Andrew, for your input.
Yes,
you made me
you.
look much better because I wasn't very well prepared.
But stay tuned for our second podcast that we'll be shooting in just a little bit, same day, but
different shirts,
different shirts, different wine, different book.
And we have a special guest who'll be participating. Yay!